Hello, today I'm going to be playing an entire league with this Blue-White Familiar deck. I would sort of start by saying that would not recommend this deck in the current metagame. The main issue being that the Black-Green Gardens deck is a pretty bad matchup. Um, and in addition to that, the Ponza deck is also pretty popular, and that matchup is like completely unwinnable. To the point where I don't think it's worth dedicating any cards to actually trying to win that matchup, because you don't actually gain enough equity for it to be worth it. So I'm just going to try this setup. I'm going to be testing a couple things. I think that I've generally been facing red about 3 times per league. So I'm running 6 Red Blasts, 2 Negates, and Dawnbringer Cleric versus that deck. And then I have 5 Affinity Hate cards, and that leaves me with 1 slot to play with. So I'm using this for a full summoning, which is good against the initiative decks. And then looking at the main deck, sort of similar to what I've been playing recently. I'm down to 2 Modern Age. I found that there's a lot less fairies than there was like a couple months ago. And so moving down on this card maybe makes a little bit of sense. And the other thing I'm trying is the 3rd Prohibit in the main deck. This could be a lot of things. It could be a 2nd Flicker, could be another Modern Age, could be another Cantrip, another Deep Analysis, remove Destroy Evil, whatever. But I'm going to try the 3rd Prohibit. Just try to sort of have more things to do on turn 2. Given that I'm removing one of the Modern Ages from my deck. So we'll see how this goes. I'm not expecting much because this deck is extremely poorly positioned at the moment. But I will do my best. Right. Here we are in round 1. This hand is totally fine. I'd much rather be on the play, but such is life. We're against mono red. Definitely not surprising. I expect that at least 2, probably 3 or 4 of the matches are going to be against mono red. That would be my estimation. They're going for the turn 2 synth, which always flips a land because that's how it works. Yep, 100% of the time. Now they're going to cast Goldotha. Now they're going to Chain Lightning. Okay. I'm probably going to lose this game because I lost the die roll, unfortunately. So I could use my snap. I think I'm just going to save it for later, once I get the transfer down and the familiar down. But again, this game's probably over. My opponent won the die roll. They had a Swift Bear. You don't usually win these ones. Another burn spell. This is to be expected. Burn spell, okay. It's possible that I'll use the snap next turn. See what happens, I guess. If I draw Faithful, I can go Faithful, Snap, Familiar. I guess as my opponent's hand is a bunch of burn. Yeah, I'm gonna go Faithful. This isn't the greatest value from Snap, but I think it's good enough. Obviously, if they play a Hanger, I'm gonna be a bit sad, but such is life. I'm gonna block with the Familiar if given the option. Actually, I'll block with the Faithful if they kill the Familiar too. If they have Bolt on the Faithful, that's kind of annoying, but so they drew a land for the turn, so they have 3 spells, yeah. See, now they sort of punish me for using my snap, but a tough spot to be in. So now I'm looking to draw into a Flicker effect for next turn, but no guarantees. So if they have 3 burn spells, I die. So definitely have to counter this. And I definitely am going to be blocking with something. See what happens here. If I block with a familiar, they bolt the other familiar, I can still cast Mold Drifter. Although I'd really like to leave these in place, so... See what happens. This is one of those games where, like, my opponent had a 1-lander, started with Suspire, turn 2 played the Synthesizer, and if they whiffed on their land, we would have just won on the spot, but instead we did not win on the spot. Okay, so this goes to 3 power. So probably I'm going to trump block with the Familiar, because if they have Fire Blast, I lose otherwise. I think this is fine. Oh, if they have Fire Blast, I lose regardless, because I go to 5 and then down to 0. But are they casting Fire Blast? Why are they not just I'm so confused. Why did they need to attack? I don't know why they felt the need to take attack. Like, the game was over. Okay. Oh, it's very frustrating playing as mono-red players who are not very good, and yet somehow are allowed to win the game. Okay, so I have 8 of these cards. I don't actually like this against the Pinger version. I got a False Summoning, trim this, trim all the snaps, trim 1 familiar, and then I can trim the flicker. Submit. Okay, this hand is okay. I'd much prefer that I had a Hydro Blast or something, but or even a Prohibit, but I do have Drift for Ephemerate, so yep. And as usual, they start with a Swift Spear on turn 1 because this deck is balanced. Okay, so here I have the option of either playing the Familiar and having it get bolted, or playing the Seagate Oracle out. I'm going to play this out. It's going to die, but I'd rather them use the burn spells on this than play a 2-drop creature. And then I'm going to end up playing the Ash Barrens probably as a waste this turn. Yeah. So I can develop this. Okay, I don't have to. Nice. Okay, Prohibit or Seagate Oracle. Tough one. I think I'm not gonna have time to hold up this, so I'll just take the Seagate Oracle. It seems likely they're gonna bolt this on end step and untap and then play something. Or I guess they'll bolt this mid phase. Yep, okay. Perfectly reasonable deck. Nothing wrong here. Okay, so I can play Seagate Oracle, look at some cards, and then put a Fam on top. The problem is I need to dig to an answer to this. I'm going to start with the Seagate Oracle. So I have 6 Hydroblasts in my deck that can kill it. Yeah, so now I have to choose between Blow, Metal Blast, and a Faithful. And I think I have to choose the Blue Blast because I need to kill this. So I'm going to put the Fam on top. And then next turn, I can either play out the Fam and use the Blue Blast, or I can use the Blue Blast and hold up the Strands, depending on what I'm thinking. See if they have another burn spell. Looks like they do. So let's see. What I can do is play the Fam, cycle for a Plains, play a Plains, Blue Blast this, and then hold up Ephemerate on the Familiar. The issue with that is that I don't actually want to use Ephemerate on the Familiar because I want to save it for the Drifter. So this is happening for sure. And I think I will... Let's see, next turn if they tap out, am I able to cast these 3 cards? I'll have 5 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can. So I'm going to just cycle for a plains, play plains, and then cast this. And they know that I have this. Like, it seemed to be super obvious that I'm holding it up, but okay. It is okay. I have to cast this to get it into my graveyard for the spells that I'm going to cast next turn, so... Yep, their deck is totally fair and reasonable. I feel like I'm pretty unlikely to win here. So I get to pick up a land. I probably want to pick up one of the untapped lands. I want to pick up this plains. See how many spells they can string together here. I will flashback strands in response to the first burn spell they play, but I do have the Thermal Alchemist that can sort of sidestep the protection. Looks like they're counting. Probably is not a good sign. So all their burn spells deal 5 damage. So if they have 3 of them, they can kill me with this, I think. Yeah. Assuming 2 of the burn spells are at instant speed. Okay, so they've messed up because now they have to activate this in response to the trigger. Oh, they stacked it correctly. Okay. So it doesn't actually matter. I'll let this resolve. Then they have to activate. And then I'll respond. If they had stacked the triggers the other way, then I would have been able to save 1 damage. If they have Flaring Pain, I'm pretty much just dead. But it looks like they don't. They're bolting the Familiar again. Okay. Let's see if they have another bolt to use on the Mole Drifter or not. I don't think they can have another bolt, because if they had another bolt, they would have had lethal. Although it's possible they messed up, I suppose. Red. Raise. Okay. It seems beatable to me. Definitely glad this was not a burn spell, because I would have lost the game, but start by drawing 2. I'm looking for Blue Blasts, which I have 5 of left in my deck. Negate is not it. Okay, so I'm going to go Faithful, Preordain, try to find a Blue Blast, and then cast this, and then hopefully find a Blue Blast. You could also hold up Negate instead. Which most of their best draws are actually creatures. Or sorry, non-creatures. But I think it's going to be better to play this guy. Not entirely sure. I'm just going to play the bounce land. Obviously, you want to pick up the Mire with the bounce land, but I can't do that here. So if they draw like a Thermal Alchemist, it's probably their best draw here. But most of the cards in their deck are non-creatures, right? So, yeah. And like sort of you saw this game, if this raise was just a lightning bolt, I would have lost. Because they would have been able to kill me in response to prismatic strands. So a lot of players think this card is good versus familiars, and it's really just not that good. Okay, so I play this turn. I could hold up Blue Blast for a possible draw top deck. Or I could main phase it on the Thermal Alchemist. I think I'm just going to start by casting Moldrifter, and then decide after I draw. Whoa. So probably what I want to do here is hold up the blast, and then if they play a land or something, I'll destroy the pingers. So if you don't have it, or don't want to play anything. So, Rearden. Next I'll destroy this. Hydroblast Prohibit, nice. Okay. So I should be winning this game. So I'm just going to Hydroblast these two, hold up another Hydroblast, and an Ephemerate. And I should be winning. I can even attack for 2. I'm going to play this, actually. I suppose I should be doing this post-combat, but I don't think it matters that much. I could have Ephemerate on the instant, but I kind of want to get value out of the Evoke here. So let's do that. It's about time for my opponent to concede now. Of course, if they don't want to, that is their prerogative. I was considering even going up to a 7th copy of this effect, the Hydroblast effect. Which might honestly be worth it, given that I think most of my opponents are going to be on decks that include red, or they're going to be on mono red specifically. Or I guess I'll correct that. I think most of my opponents are going to be on mono red in any given league, so I think it makes sense to have a large number of these. On the draw, it's a lot harder. Like, Raise becomes an actually interesting card because it's much easier for them to play creatures before they cast the Raise, but obviously if we can Hydroblast the Raise, it's very, very, very good for us. Okay, this hand is okay. I'd prefer that I have a Faithful or a Hydroblast, but I can draw into them. Opponent's mulligan into 5. So I have how many? 6 Hydroblasts, 7 Hydroblasts? 6 in the deck, I think, and then 4 Faithfuls that are like my best draws. Bounce Land is not particularly good. Gonna get white mana. I'm definitely going to be under the gun if my opponent plays a Pinger, because on my next turn I'd like to play the Chancery, but if they have Raise, I can't really afford to have it destroyed like that, so I think I'm forced to hold up Prohibit and hope I draw either an untapped land or like something to do. I want to counter literally any spell here. So now I have to hope that either my opponent doesn't have Raise, or if they do have it, they use it now. I'm playing Lava Spike, interesting. So now, I feel like I'm still not in that great of a spot. Because if they have 2 burn spells and I don't draw anything, then I lose. So I'm looking for a Faithful now to block, which neither of these are. So I'll bottom them both. I'll play this, pick up the Plains, I suppose. And then, yeah, if they have 2 burn spells, I just lose. It's pretty fun. Alright, one of their cards is a land. That's definitely good news. Okay. So going down to 3 here. So I think my best play is to preordain for a white creature and then try to hold up strands and hope they don't top deck exactly lightning bolts. Neither of those are white creatures. So I can choose to play this. I think it's going to be better to cast the strands, especially since next turn I have 3 looks at a white creature. Alright, this is perfect. If this was a lightning bolt, I would have lost the game. Because they would be able to do this post-combat. They would attack, I'd be forced to strands, and then they could bolt me in response. Okay, so that blue Elemental Blast is an interesting draw. So I think I want to cast Seagate Oracle tapping like this. And if I draw into a Faithful, I can play it. If I draw into a Fam, I can play it. And if I don't, then I can play this island and hold up all these. Hydroblast is good. So now the thing is that I can't actually Hydroblast the Flame Breather on my main phase because that loses to a top decked burn spell. So what I have to do is Seagate Oracle, block the Swiftspear, and then counter the burn spell if they have one. I really need to draw into a white creature. Okay, so probably what I'm forced to do here is go blue blast, or I'll just blue blast this, and hold up Prohibit. See what they got here. Because now I'm holding out multiple counterspells. And I can consider Hydroblasting the Swiftspear on my opponent's end step for mana efficiency. I still need to draw into a white creature at some point. So I can Hydroblast the Swiftspear, but if I do, I lose to double bolt. I think a reasonable number of their burn spells are sorcery speed. This is fine. So, what I'm going to do is go Archaeomancer, return Hydroblast. I'm still looking for a white creature. This is sort of the downside of boarding out the familiars. Like I only boarded out 1 Fam, but it does lower the number of creatures for the prismatic strands. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to use the double white here. This. Cast the Fam. So now my opponent's going to try to kill me in response, I would imagine. If they don't, I'll play the Modern Age. Probably just discard whatever I draw. Yep. Now I can start attacking. Stack for rule 1. In case they draw multiple Swiftspear somehow. Now it should be hard to lose, I think. Although I guess we'll see. Okay, so Evoke Ephemerate costs 3 mana. So I should tap like this. I can still hold up 3 counters, plus the strands. Yeah, 4 counters. This game should be over. I think it's going to be difficult for my opponent to overpower the counterspells. Okay, I will start with Prohibit. The Negate can counter a Fire Blast, but the Prohibit can counter like a Relic. Yeah. I'm going to use my Negate. I think Prohibit counters like everything in their deck except for Fire Blast. And the Hydroblast counters everything in their deck except for Relic of Progenitus. So mostly it doesn't really matter. So let's start with a Faithful. Next attack. This game is over, but I'm gonna return. I'll start with the Seagate, and then I'll return some sort of counterspell. And there's no reason to do this on my main phase. I'm just gonna pass. My opponent is forced to now just like dump their hand out because they know that they can't really overpower the counters. Imagine they'll go for something here. They won't. Works. Problem is that I have strands and 3 counters in my hand, so not sure what we're doing here. I should use the black mana, of course. This is essentially colorless mana in this deck. Another Faithful is fine. Lay that out. Attack all. I guess my opponent is like waiting for Flaring Pain or something, but I don't think they know that I can just counter everything they play for the rest of the game. Maybe they have like a bunch of Searing Blazes, but I'm pretty sure they were supposed to concede. All right, they have conceded. On to round 2. All right, on the draw once again, round number 2. I don't know this player, so I guess they're on the black deck. Okay, so this matchup is very bad, and hopefully I will get to explain why. Maybe it's not very bad, like you can win, but it's difficult. It's definitely difficult. So I always kind of want to play a creature that's not a familiar first, to play around Chainer's Edict. The question is, do I want to play the Preordain, or do I want to... I want to play the Preordain. I could hold up the Prohibit for a possible dispute, but... take the island, I guess. Play my tap land as I go. Basically, if my opponent has initiative on turn 5, I'm just going to lose. And there's not a whole lot of agency I have. Like you don't really have any choice in whether or not your opponent draws it. Just kind of fall over and die if they do have it, though. So I'm going to play the Seagate Oracle to try to protect my fam from a Chainer's Edict. I'm looking for my 1 copy of Remove Soul, which I did not find. At this point, I'd actually prefer they don't kill this because I have Ephemerate, Snap, and a Flicker that I'd like to use, but unfortunately, I don't have much say in the matter. Looks like they're only on 1 Black Source, which could be good for me. I'm not sure. Would love to be able to counter that, but which I can do. Another Black Source. Imagine they're going to Edict me now. Yep. So most likely my opponent's going to play the initiative and I'm just going to lose the game on the spot. But in the event they don't have that, I guess I would rather play the Oracle to protect the Familiar from another Edict. The only issue with this is that if I'm playing the Transfer, I'm just going to go to discard. So I guess I'm just going to play the Familiar, pick up my Mire, and then hope they don't have a like a Snuff Ad or something. if my opponent has access to the initiative, they should just 100% just be slamming it, and then the game is just going to end on the spot. Looks like they don't. They're not playing anything. I'm putting them on like disputes and stuff here. I'm gonna play an island and then play the Seagate Oracle, I think. They probably have the initiative, is my guess. So now I have the option to either play a Faithful out or hold up Ephemerate, this guy. I'm gonna play a Faithful out since I'd much rather sacrifice this to Chainer's Edict if given the option. Imagine my opponent has some sort of spell to cast here on my end step. Cast down targeting Sunscape Familiar. So I have a couple options. I can prohibit this. I can also flicker these two. I can't actually counter the initiative with prohibit, but my opponent doesn't necessarily know that. So what I could do is flicker target familiar planes, flicker target familiar oracle, or familiar island. My opponent doesn't have a third black card in the graveyard, so they can't actually break this up. I think I'm going to do this. It's also possible my opponent is going to bog the flicker, which would be annoying, but again, this is a matchup where you don't really have control over what happens. You just kind of have to hope your opponent doesn't draw particularly well. Take the Ashburns, I guess. Disfigure the familiar, and they're going to do it again. I'll say Disfigure is not particularly good in this matchup, so they have a bog now, or what? They do have a bog. So no more flicker in this game, which is annoying. Also would have preferred to mire back the familiar, but it's not an option. Start with attacking. I'm probably going to end up using the Ephemerate on my Seagate Oracle this turn. I'm going to start with the Modern Age, discard some extra lands. This card is somewhat decent at like stealing back the initiative, but usually this deck just has so much removal that it doesn't particularly matter what you do. One of the main phases of Ephemerate. This gets blown out by Spinning Darkness, but I think my opponent would have used Spinning Darkness as opposed to double Disfigure if they had it. So, the choice between False Summoning and Sunscape Familiar. I'm going to take the False Summoning. Play Faithful out. So, now I'm in a spot where my opponent has Duress. They can just Duress this, play their initiative creature, and win. Also, if they play an initiative creature and I counter it, they can still Blood Fountain it back and then replay it. But it looks like their hand is weak. So, not sure. Fangor Marauder. I do not care about this very much. It's kind of annoying, though. Interesting if they're playing this card. I don't think I'm supposed to counter it. It's interesting that they're playing this card. I suppose it's a hedge against mono red, but I'm gonna pick up the bog. Yep. I'm not sure that that's where you want to be with this deck. I guess we'll see. So the bog is probably going to be able to eat my Ephemerate, which I'm not super happy about. Okay, never mind. I could have taken the deep analysis, but I'd really like to return the Ephemerate. So I want to be able to hold up Ephemerate and counter, so I'll tap like this. So I know my opponent has a Bajuka Bog in their hand. And with the double Faithful, I'm pretty easily able to tank the Fangor Marauder for a number of turns. Okay, they play Swamp. Yeah, so they have Bajuka Bog and 2 unknowns. No blocks. I'm going to go for an Ephemerate on the end step. It's certainly possible they have multiple removal spells, but it would have to be their last 2 cards, right? I suppose I'll take Preordain, although there's maybe an argument to be made for the Modern Age there, since flyers are useful. Sort Preordain. I could actually use this. I think I will actually. I think it's somewhat unlikely I'm going to be able to use all my white mana this turn. So, take Secret Oracle. I guess I don't really want to snap. Then once again, I need to leave up 3 mana. I could leave up 5 mana, but it seems pretty wasteful. I'll just play another Secret Oracle. I'll attack for 1. I could like try to multi-block this, but not sure I'm super happy about that. Take a Drifter. Not in the worst spot. I would definitely prefer to have access to my Flicker this game. So I'm going to counter this, I think. The issue is that if I counter this, I'm not going to be able to counter a Crypt Rats or an initiative creature, but it is what it is if I have those. Now, if I go for a Bajuka Bog, I have to decide whether or not I want to use my Ephemerate and risk losing it to a removal spell. It seems possible that they have access to like a Rats or something here, or an initiative creature or something. Just another dispute. Okay. Sure. This is where having a familiar is like super powerful because it allows me to hold up counter magic for half the price. But I have not drawn a second one. So I'm not actually afraid of Crypt Rats here because I can just bounce it. Arms of Fidar. Just a removal spell from Arcanamancer. Okay. I could have responded by returning Prohibit. Maybe that's something I should have considered. I don't think this is that bad for me, though. So I could save the Ephemerate for the Woodruff pair, but I kind of just want to use my mana. Hope to draw into a Familiar, and then I can go Familiar, Muldrifter, Snap. Interesting they're main decking Arms of Fire. That seems somewhat dubious. Because you often just die before turn 4, so the payoff for having it is not as large as the payoff for having these 5 drops. So it looks like I'm priced into hard casting a Muldrifter, which is not great, but I need to find a Familiar very badly. I'm gonna fetch an island, and then I'm gonna cast Preordain. So now I could hold my creatures back to try to line up blocks on this Greek guy, but it's better to just attack. They also maybe could have held this. It's possible, like maybe they only run for 1 copy, but if they can line up a double, I'm just gonna aggressively counter. Maybe this is fine. If they can line up multiple of these in the same turn, it becomes really bad for me. Countering this might be wrong, but yeah, because now they get to draw 2, but they're sacrificing one of their lands, and I'm generally in favor of exchanging resources when I'm up on cards like this. So my opponent has Crypt Rats. They can Rats for 3, which kills almost everything I have. They have Garmag Angler, which I'm not scared about in the slightest. Do not care about that at all. What do they have in the block? They have Unexpected Fangs. Okay. Don't care about their main decking Unexpected Fangs. That is wild. The metagame is not healthy, as you can see. So let's go Faithful Preordain, try to find a Fam, and then hopefully Fam, Snap, do some stuff. I'm probably going to Snap this, and then like try to multi-block the Garmag Angler. No Familiar. So I'm just going to block with these. Let's attack with the Drifter. And maybe Ephemerate the Drifter. See if I can't find a Familiar. I could also evoke this and then Ephemerate it, but maybe that was better. No Familiar. If I tap like this, I can go Arcane-Mancer, return Ephemerate, and then hold up a counter. So that's what I'm gonna do. Probably. Question is, do I fire off a snap? At this point, the main card I'm worried about is Cryptrats. So, untap these two, and then play this tapped. And I'm not going to counter the Finger Marauder on the way back down. I'm going to try to trouble block with these three on the Gurmag Angler. Try to force some action. I think I'm going to be pretty happy if they use Blood Fountain to return either of these. It seems like this version of the deck is like teched to beat red quite a bit, which I think is quite good for me. Thorn of the Black Rose. Well, I don't think I care about this that much. However, I am going to be mana efficient and just counter it, since it's practically free with the Ephemerate. Still have not found another familiar, so okay. The last card snuff out. Let's find out. Does not seem like it is. So now they have a lot of life, so it's gonna take me a long time to win, but it's okay with me. Having a second familiar, or having a single familiar, would speed this process up immensely. So I guess I'm gonna try to dig for that. Attack with these two. Since I'm gonna untap this with the Ephemerate, and maybe play this. I'm also interested in exiling the Blackthorn with the Cleric at some point. So let's start by using Snap to make some mana. Oh, I could have tapped the Mire, but this is gonna be okay. And then I'm gonna use this other Ephemerate to also make mana, I think. Since getting my opponent to replay this is be good. I could have actually, I think it was probably correct to play the Muldrifter first, because if I draw a familiar, it's going to allow me to spend my mana more efficiently, but I don't know that it matters that much. Still no familiar, eh? I have 16 cards and 3 of them are familiars. So now I will counter the... I'm going to counter this since I know 2 of their cards are creatures. It does become awkward if they have Jukabog now because they will be able to exile all my prohibits, but I should still be able to win. I'm definitely going to let this resolve. And I'm definitely going to counter the Fangren Marauder if they play it, since that will tap them out. Now if they have Bajukabog here as their last card, it's going to be very difficult to win, but still think I can do it. Looks like they don't have it. Oh no, I accidentally went to my combat step. So I guess I'm going to return a snap and snap this so I can attack with more. I don't even have to return a snap. Well, unfortunately, I don't get access to my additional mana on my main phase. I'm going to snap this and then attack with everything. And then return some counters. Looks like they're going to concede. Right. So in this matchup, I don't really have much. I'm gonna bring in two negates and this extra counterspell. And I actually don't hate the Faithfuls in matchups where my opponent has Edicts in their deck, because this always trades up on mana against the Edict. I'm just going to trim one of them, get the Cleric out, trim a Snap. Obviously, like, I'd like to trim more of these snaps. And, like, the Strands is not particularly good. But I don't have that many cards to bring in. There's maybe an argument to be made for... It seems a bit slow, but I think I have to keep... there's probably an argument to be made for boarding out the Prismatic Strands, but... not sure exactly what's optimal here. So the awkward thing is I'm going to have to go to discard. Just, I guess discarding this is fine, but... okay, I don't have to necessarily go to discard if I don't want to. But I think I need to develop my white mana. So I can either discard Strands or Deep Analysis, and I think I want to discard the Strands because the Deep Analysis, I probably want to get both the value out of both sides of it. Okay. So again, I'm just going to play Seed Oracle, Archaeomancer, or Moldrifter. I'll take an Archaeomancer, I suppose. I don't have... like, I have too many cards to go for a Drifter Ephemerate next turn. I'd just be discarding everything I draw, so... and I'd like to play this Bounce Land. It's also super awkward because then I go to discard. So... I think what I'm going to do is go Faithful, or sorry, yeah, Faithful and hold up Prohibit, which is not mana efficient, but it does help me get cards out of my hand. Then I'm going to counter literally any spell they play that I can counter with Prohibit. Like this one. I'm a bit worried they are going to have the initiative here, but not much I can do about that. They do have it. Obviously, if I draw a Snap, then I can take back the initiative, but usually when you're like trying to battle over the initiative with a Snap, it's just like it's just a losing fight. Like, oh my god. Okay, just like Gurmag Angler. Looks like they're playing like maybe a budget list or something, because this card is not... like, the initiative is just all that matters against familiars. Okay, so if I go Drifter Ephemerate, it's going to put me down -2 and +4. So I'll go down to 4 cards and then back up to 8. And then I can either... if I play the Bounce Land, that will... I'll still have to go to discard, so probably I want to go cycle for a Plains, play the Plains and then Drifter Ephemerate. Yeah. I did keep 2 Snaps in my deck. And if they have Snuff Out here, it's going to be awkward, but I didn't see Snuff Out in game 1. So it's possible they don't have it. It's possible they have it in their sideboard, given that they have a bunch of main deck hate cards for red, but I'm guessing they don't. So the question is, do I want to use Strands now? I think I'll wait. I think I'm just going to use it now because they could have a Jukabog and then this will become useless. So disfigure the Moldrifter, okay. Destroy that, okay. They're probably going to kill this, so I lose the Ephemerate, is my guess. Not block. Okay. But again, this was a spot where this Faithful, like, traded up on mana, right? So I'm pretty happy with how that ended up working out. So here I want to go Familiar, Archaeomancer, Bounce Land. It's sort of a balance with this deck where you want to have enough cards in hand to not go to discard, but also you want to get maximum value out of all your cards, so... sort of you combine these like card advantage cards with the non-card advantage cards. Like these, I don't want to explain this. Like, the familiar is a forced trade. Like, the opponent basically has to kill the familiars. Crypt Rats, okay. Let's see if they activate it main phase or not. I'm pretty fine with them activating it main phase, only getting these two creatures. Obviously, I'd prefer to have the familiar in play, but don't think it's the best value for them. Yeah, so I'm going to start with Modern Age, and this is sort of why the Modern Age is good, because, well, part of the reason why this card is good, and the same reason this card is good is in Cog Gates, is that it's card negative, so, like, oftentimes you'll end up going to discard, and having this card be card negative helps you get value out of your hand without going to discard. So here, if I discard a land, I can go... I don't know if I actually have any spells in the graveyard, so probably what I'm going to do is discard a tap land, play a Plains, cast a Drifter, and then have 7 in hand. And I do need to find a Snap at some point. There's 3 in the deck, so I'm not super worried about it. Let's see what they have as their payoff. Changer's Edict, sure. When your opponent Changer's Edicts your Muldrifter, you're generally pretty happy about that. I do need to get a Familiar out so I can hold up these counters. I'll probably discard one of the counters to the... Ooh, it looks like they have another Angler. This is going to be interesting. Gonna be interesting. I need to find a Snap pretty soon here. Oh, they have Monarch. Okay. This is where it gets hard. Because emblems are stupid. So I'm going to discard this extra land, I guess. So Faithful's going down for sure. This Fam's going down for sure. The question is, do I need to tap in a certain way? I guess I'm just going to tap like this, and then play the Mancer. Or I guess I have to play the Deep Analysis, because the Mancer doesn't actually pick anything up. So I'll play Deep Analysis, game 1 life. And if they have Bajuka Bog, I'm going to be kind of sad, because I want to hold up both of these. But such is life. It seems like they're... Yeah, so the best cards for them here are Bajuka Bog, Crypt Rats, Initiative, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to counter anything I can here, but my opponent is drawing 2 cards a turn, so not optimistic. I'm definitely happy they're casting this on their turn. This allows me to spend my mana properly. Try again. Now let's see if they have the Bog. Spellbomb. Oof. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty dang good. And they drew an Angler too? Oh no. Alright, well if I draw a Snap, I'm in a fine spot. But I'm gonna have to trump otherwise. Snap is good, Ephemerate's good, Ghost of Flicker's good, more creatures are good. Let's see what we can get here. All summoning Preordain. Alright, so the question is, do I want to cycle this before I cast Preordain? And I think I'm just going to cast it because I'm probably going to want to use all my mana with the Archaeomancer, Preordain stuff. Okay. Seagate Oracle Familiar. I'll top both. Use the white mana to cast the Familiar. Island. Cast Archaeomancer. Turn Preordain. And then I have the option of to not cast Preordain here because I already know that my top card is good. Interesting choice. I think that's fine. I think I'll save it in the event that my Seagate Oracle ends up breaking. And I can't use the basic land cycling on my Ashbrands here. So I do have to chump. I'm probably going to chump with a Seagate. I'm hoping that they're play for turn. Okay, well, I have to counter this. If they have another kill spell, it gets really bad for me here. I have 1 card and then one more look here. Okay, I'm taking 6 down to 5. So I'm going to start by playing these in case I can draw a counterspell for a possible removal spell. It's possible I don't want to cycle first. Oh my god, they drew the removal spell of this. That is very rude. So if they use the removal spell now on this, then I can possibly find a snap for the plant token, which will allow me to... Interesting choice. Yeah, I guess they could... Well, sort of a tough choice. I guess it makes sense to do this on the K-Mancer. Okay, I'll take a Preordain, and then I'm actually going to cycle this so that I don't mess up my Preordain. Familiar is bad. Downside is also bad. I don't really want to shuffle my deck now. Maybe I wasn't supposed to use the Ashbrands because I had bad cards on the bottom. I think I'm forced to keep this Negate on top, unfortunately. Much as it's not actually good. So now I'm going to end up trump blocking. The question is with what? Because the thing is that I want to keep the Seagate Oracle around in case I draw into an Ephemerate or a Snap. But the other creatures are super useful in case I draw into like a Muldrifter or K-Mancer or whatever. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to counter this. So I could actually triple trump, but that does not seem like a good long-term plan. So I'm just gonna trump once, and then if they draw into instant speed removal, oh, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they're actually gonna Trader's Edict me. Okay, so I'm probably just gonna keep the FAMs around. I think that's gonna be best for the long-term strategy. Though, I mean, it's not great. Not a great spot to be trumping every single turn. Okay. Well, let's play Modern Age. This has to deliver something good. I have 2 Milldrifters left in my deck. Only 1 Archaeomancer. It's not... the rest of my deck is actually pretty bad here. So, that is one of my best draws for sure. So now what I can do is either return a counter or Preordain. I think I want to get a Preordain. Looking for... Muldrifters, yeah, Femerite's Muldrifters. This is like the perfect Preordain. So now I'm going to attack. If they want to kill this, they can with the Snuff Out. So I'm going to get 3 unknown cards. So I'm just kind of hoping that I can get a snap off of the unknown cards. There's 3 left in the deck. Haven't seen one yet. Okay, snap is good. So I'm going to start with Preordain. Okay, snap is good. So I can turn these snaps into draw twos, or I can use the snaps on the anglers. Interesting choice. My opponent has 1 card in their hand. I think I'm going to snap one of these now, and then I'm going to use this on block and snap on this, and then chump block with the Familiar maybe, and keep the Monarch. Or, because I think because they're super low on cards, I kind of want to keep the Monarch. The issue with that is that if they have Bajuka Bog, like they X on my last, like both my Archaeomancers. So let's draw and see what happens here. Alternatively, I could block like this and then snap back both my creatures. Okay, 3rd snap I think is good here. So let's start with this. I want to cast this now because if they have Deadly Dispute, they will screw me out of my mana, so I still do lose to a bunch of stuff. I lose to Crypt Rats. I lose to... Maybe that's it. I'm not sure. Okay, I have the Dispute. Yeah, not much I can do about that. Cast down. Okay. Interesting target for that. If they have Chainer's Edict, I'm going to sacrifice the Vector Glider. Okay, so question is, am I okay losing my Familiar, or am I okay losing the Mole Drifter? Lots of different options here. I think I'm supposed to snap this back. And then just let the Mole Drifter die. The awkward thing about using the... I think I actually have to give them the Monarch here. Awkwardly enough. Because if I block, snap the Archaeomancer back, my opponent actually gets... or actually lose my Ephemerate. So... I'm just going to snap this. Take 1, go to 2. My opponent gets the Monarch back. Not great, but... Okay, they have dispute. It's fine. Oh, they're not disputing the creature. They're disputing something else. Spinning Darkness. Okay. Not sure why we're casting this now. Don't think that makes a whole lot of sense, but... So now their hand is 2... It is 1 mystery card, well, 2 mystery cards, and 2 anglers. So now I need to find my Mire to return in the Archaeomancers. I have a bunch of looks at that, though. 1, 2... Look. Discard the planes. Start with the Faithful. That's preordained. False Summoning Seagate Oracle. Man, I don't think I'm allowed to bottom either of these. Although, like, it sort of is a race, because if my opponent ever draws Bojuka Bog, I'm going to bottom this, top this, play Familiar. If my opponent finds Bojuka Bog before I find my Mortuary Mire, then I will not have access to Archaeomancer for the rest of the game. Yeah, okay. So put an Archaeomancer on top. Say yes. Attack for 2. Then plan to double block the Thorn with the Mole Drifter and the Seagate Oracle. There is still 1 Ghostly Flicker left in my deck. I have to negate that. If they have Crypt Rats, they do win the game. This is true. I'm trying to think of other cards they could have here that would be bad. Lots of stuff. They have lots of stuff here. There's one of the 2 that we know about. Wellspring. This is not correct sequencing. You should always play your draw spell first, if given the option. Another draw spell. Because, yeah, what if you chain these off and then you want to play something else? Like, it's definitely not ideal. Okay. I'm going to double block. If they have removal, they have removal, but there's no, it's not getting any better for me. Interesting they didn't choose to play their... This is a great draw. Interesting they didn't choose to play their other Angler, because they had just enough mana for it. So start by playing the Mancer. I'm going to pick up Ephemerate. Ephemerate's going to pick up a counter. And then I'm going to put another Archaeomancer on top, and then try to draw into it. I think I should have enough mana for this. Maybe I actually want to put another Familiar on top. So let's go Ephemerate. I think I actually do, because that's going to discount my Flicker. Ephemerate here. Going to return Negate, in case they have Spinning Darkness. This Prohibit can't counter Spinning Darkness. So now I cast Flicker, target Mancer. I don't think I'm safe to play this. I'm gonna put the Fam on top, then draw into it and try to go for infinite life. Okay. Flicker these two. This is going to cost me quite a bit of mana, but having infinite life seems reasonable. Okay. This. Okay, so now I have to know that I have my last Mill Drifter is on the bottom of my deck at the moment. So I should try to keep track of the bottom of my deck as much as possible. So I'm probably just going to gain a little. I can't speak. I'm going to gain a little bit of life here. I don't have access to a creature counter. Although I could return Prohibit and then prohibit the Crypt Rats if they draw it. Because I have 2 Fams out. So probably just go up to like, I don't know, 20 here maybe? Maybe 15. I don't have that much time. But they have less time, so. And then I'll probably just plan on Flicker blocking. Not entirely sure. I could try to triple block the Angler, but I kind of want to pressure their life total. It seems useful to me. I'll do this like one more time. Obviously, in paper, this wouldn't be actually a win because you only have 8 cards left in my deck. So if they can break this up, they can deck me out. But yeah. So now how I block is gonna be interesting. I probably am just gonna block with the Archaeomancer and then flicker it, but I am somewhat close to decking. So if they have a bunch of removal here, it's gonna get kind of awkward. See what they got. Because if they have Crypt Rats, I'm actually gonna lose access to this flicker. Okay, I don't care about that. Okay, so now I go flicker here. Return. Prohibit. Kicker. Prohibit. And then I'll have to chump block with something. Okay, they conceded. Alright. On to round 3. Round 3 on the draw once again. I think my opponent's tends to play mono red, although I could be misremembering. I think it's generally a safe assumption that most of your opponents will be playing mono red in the leagues. Alright, they seem to be AFK. I'm going to pause and then come back when they're not AFK. Alright, looks like my opponent has showed up. They're keeping 7. I'm going to 6. This hand is pretty medium. I'm not feeling great about this, but it's possible that I'm supposed to keep the Modern Age there, but it's just so slow. Alright, so they are mono red, to the surprise of absolutely no one. So if they have a pinger, I can go snap it and then counter it on the way back down. Looks like they're on the Burning Tree version. Okay. They're going to sacrifice their land, which is interesting. So I think it's not great. I'm just going to pass. Definitely being on the play here would have been good, but I was not skilled enough to win the die roll, unfortunately. I'm going to snap a token, and then hope they play something second main. And then hope that I can draw into something good. Unfortunately, I need both lands and something to do, so not particularly ideal. They're gonna pass. They know I have counter. Blight Preordain first. I'm gonna be taking 4 more, which is not good. Okay. So I think I have to bottom this island because I need white mana. Maybe there's an argument for keeping that. Not sure. I think probably I'm just gonna lose this game. But it's fine. You lose the die roll, you just kind of lose the game. Is what it is. Is what it is. Okay, so I'm gonna play Seagate Oracle. I'm gonna get it bolted. They're gonna untap, play some stuff. I'm probably gonna lose. That's okay. My opponent has 5 cards and they're all spells. So yeah. About how this game's going. So I guess they're deciding whether or not they want to use this or do something else. Bushwhacker. Alright, I mean, I'm still super dead, but you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? That's a nice draw. So the problem is that they have 3 cards in hand that are all spells. So I don't think I can win. But I'm gonna start by snapping a token. And I could go Evoke Ephemera with a Mole Drifter, but that loses to any 3-mana burn spell. And I feel like the odds they have no 3-mana burn spell is like 0. But like the only other good option is like Preordain, draw Fam. Even then I can't play the Fam and hold up Prohibit. So I like have to Preordain. I guess I get Preordain off this mana and draw into a Fam. Even then, this all just seems terrible. Like, question: what cards could they have in their hand that I'm beating? Because like, I'm really not sure what they could, what range of cards I'm beating with Evoke Ephemera Mole Drifter. Because if they have like it's possible they just have a bunch of draw twos that they weren't casting because they didn't want them to get countered, but I'm just gonna take a risk, cast this, hopefully draw into a something to block with. Yeah, I did not. Alright, well, I think I'm dead now. I think I am dead now. It's fine. Most of the games against mono red you don't actually make any meaningful decisions. Okay, I will take 2. I will be blocking the Burning Tremsary. Actually, I'm gonna block like this. I think 1 is the same as 2 in this case because my opponent doesn't play Lava Dart in their deck. It's possible they have a bunch of Goldothas. I guess that's a possible cards they could have, but seems incredibly unlikely to be honest. And yeah, it didn't matter. If I'd played the Drifter, I still would have died. So it's all good. Alright. We have 6 Hydros. I'd like Dawnbringer Clarion in this matchup. 9 cards to bring in. Ward out the snaps. False summoning. I actually find that you usually need the deep analysis to pull ahead because they can grind pretty well. Take out the flicker. Trim Modern Age. And then now, like, sort of marginal stuff. Like, probably I'm just going to trim a Fam. Since it always trades down on mana, but yeah, see, if I won the die roll in that last game, I would have been in a fantastic spot, and instead, I was not. But that is Constructed Magic for you. So I think this is just a turn 2 Modern Age hand. Not the strongest play, but helps me fix my hand a little bit. Luckily for me, most of the time, well, a lot of the time the opponents are going to bring in Rays, so definitely makes my life a bit easier. So I think it's between Ash Barrens and Mire here. I think I'm gonna discard, or even the planes. I'll discard the Mire. I don't think I need it. This matchup, the Mire can be useful sometimes, but I think that's likely not what this game is going to be about. All right, let's see how many burning trees I have. Just one. Nice. So this is kind of good because now I get to not give them a good target for the lightning bolts. I'll discard the storefront and go ahead and play my bounce land. If they have raise, I can try to counter it. This does mean that I can't counter anything else they play. Like if they start with a burning tree, I can't actually counter that because they can have raise, but yeah, I can counter this. Deep Analysis is interesting. I don't hate tapping out for it. I'd much prefer to play something that affects the board or look for counter magic, but I think the Deep Analysis is too mana efficient to pass up on. Their best play is like Raise, Lightning Bolt or something. I don't know. Raise isn't even that good because they're on the draw. Alright, Synth is good. Galvanic Blast. See if they can get a third artifact on the board. Doesn't look like it. They're going to shock me. Yep. Okay, so now I'm looking for Faithful, Familiar, Hydroblast, Strands. So I could start with Seagate Oracle. But I think I want to start with Preordain, so I know how to tap for this. Okay, so now I have Ephemerate. Go top, play the plains, cast Seagate Oracle, draw a gate, and then have Ephemerate up. I'll Blue Blast up. Or, not up, but in my hand. Definitely am nowhere near out of the woods yet. Shock my... Oh, they actually get to deal 4 now. It's pretty strong. Alright, they're cracking this. This is not correct sequencing once again. But my opponent does not seem to care. So hopefully they bolt this. They do not. So now I'm just going to go for an Ephemerate on the end step. If they have Fire Blast, they should just cast it, but I don't imagine they do. Alright. I suppose I'll take an island. Strands is decent. Okay, let's go island, Faithful, pass. So now I have Blue Elemental Blast for a draw spell, and then Prismatic Strands for everything else. And I will block with the Faithful pretty aggressively here since, well, I'm at 5, and also I have Strands up. Alright, they have nothing. Cool. I could actually cast the Strands on the end step just to get it in my graveyard, but that seems kind of pointless. I'm just going to cast the Muldrifter and then hold up the Hydroblast. Only card this is bad against is like Relic. I guess Relic I don't really care about that much. Kuldotha, I think I will counter, just because this turns on the Bushwhacker, and also I'm up enough cards that just exchanging resources is good for me. Okay, on the draw, this is where it gets much harder. I think this is still fine. I just have to hope I open a hand with like a Hydroblast. I definitely should consider running more than 6 Hydroblasts, I think, in leagues at least. I think it's pretty worthwhile to have that effect. I'm going to keep this hand, but it doesn't excite me that much. Relic, nice. That does very little. Um, hmm. So I could actually just play the Mire. I could play the Island. I have lots of options here. So I play the Island. I can counter a possible like raise or something. If I play the Mire next turn, I can play the Island and hold up Negate. But I think I'm just gonna develop the white mana and then see what happens. Because if I draw a Faithful, I'm gonna be glad that I fetched out the white source. They play Burning Tree. Looks like they have another one. It's pretty spooky. Not a big fan of that. That is also very spooky, but they don't get their card back, so there's that at least. The problem is here, I would like to play my Sunscape Familiar, but I actually can't. So probably what I will do here is Hydroblast the Burning Tree in combat. If they don't play anything pre-combat, but looks like they did. And then here I feel like I'm super dead, but I needed to have a Hydroblast in my opening hand, probably. I drew for the first turn, right? Let's think. Okay. Blue source is good. Okay. I'm gonna play the Mire, so next turn I can go Familiar with Prohibit back up. So I think I have to Hydroblast this in combat, even though this opens me up to raise. Like, if they raise this island, I'd probably just lose, but... it's possible they have, like, Goldothas and stuff they can't cast. So I'm going to counter this for sure. And then if I'm allowed to untap the Familiar, I can go Drifter Ephemerate. They have one card left, so I'm feeling okay about this, assuming I'm allowed to untap with all my lands intact and my family play. Okay. So now I just need to draw into untapped islands. Which it doesn't look like I'm going to. Okay. Doesn't feel great, because now if my opponent has a draw 2, they get to play both the cards. If my opponent draws into a raise, they get to raise this. So is the last card Golgotha? No, they're cycling a relic. Okay. They have a draw 2 now. Bushwhacker. Okay, so I'm definitely going to block with the Muldrifter in this spot. I do lose out on 2 cards, but I think that the 2 life and the destroying of the Bushwhacker is going to be more relevant, given that I have a lot of cards in my hand. I do need a second blue source pretty badly. Okay, that works. So let's start by gaining 2. Play the bounce land. Pick up the Mire. I could actually pick up the Plains. I think having the Mire in my hand is going to be useful going forward. So now I just want to trade resources as much as possible. Looks like they don't have anything. Okay. So, do I have enough mana for these 2 cards and one of these? I think I do. Start with Fam. Deep Analysis, so I have to draw into blue source, which I don't. So I'm just going to choose not to put that on top. Back. Okay, I'm going to counter this because this is level cycle, and they concede. All right, on to round 3. All right, I think I said on to round 3, but I meant on to round 4, and I have won the die roll. I think this is a hand that I keep on the play, mulligan on the draw. Definitely a pretty slow hand, but it's pretty hard to mulligan the hands that have bounce lands on the play. If you mulligan these up, you're going to be losing more than you're going to be winning. Opponent's on 6 cards. I'm Snow-Covered Forest, so probably Ponza. Yep. So I'm probably going to Almost certainly going to lose. Oh, they're on Bogles with snow-covered forest. Okay, so this is a much better matchup than the Ponza. I'm going to play this bounce land out. If they're Ponza, I'm just going to lose the match anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, they're Bogles. I kind of like the snow-covered forest in Bogles because it sort of disguises what deck you're playing. And I'm just going to evoke a Multripter here because I have absolutely nothing going on. Okay, these cards are sort of useful, I guess. I'm looking for... I have one Dawnbringer Cleric in the main board and one Prismatic Strands in the main board. Those are my key cards here to try to win game one. Alright, see if they have the Ancestor Mask. Okay. So... So can I go Faithful Snap to generate mana? So I start with 3. So I can go Float a Blue, play Chancery, play Faithful, Snap the Faithful, go to 4 mana, replay the Faithful, snap the Faithful, play Mulldrifter. I don't know that that's actually a good idea, though. I could go, like, Plains Faithful Evoke. I feel like I'm in a really bad spot. Seems somewhat likely they have another Ancestral Mask. So, yeah. I am super dead now. Ideally, like, if I'm playing against another a deck that wasn't pressuring me quite as much, I'd be able to hold these in my hand so I could use Snap and use them to draw more cards, but the reality is that I'm just going to die before I get to do anything, really. Alright, so I evoke this, draw into exactly my Dawnbringer Cleric or my Prismatic Strands. Okay, so snap here. And then there's no actual way that I can win. I can draw Prismatic Strands, right? So I evoke this, draw Prismatic Strands, go to discard, flash it back. That's my only out, I think. Okay, I did draw it. The issue now is that I can't actually loop this because I'm going to have to use it now. If I had drawn this on the previous turn, I could cast it, hard cast it, and then cast Arcanomancer and return it, and then at some point draw into a flicker effect, but at this point, yeah, I'm just dead. I'll say draw into exactly my cleric. Okay. So it's possible I was supposed to play this a couple turns ago to use the snap or mana. So is there any way I can draw into a cleric? I have no way to draw cards because there's no preordain in my graveyard. So I can gain 1, 2, 3 life or whatever, but that doesn't actually save me, so I'm dead. Alright, this is a pretty good matchup though, so that should be fine. Bring in these, bring in these. I'm gonna trim some snaps, all summoning, prohibit. A lot of my cards are like pretty like marginal against them. Modern Age is kind of weak because it I'm not in love with the Modern Age because it is an enchantment and that buffs their Ancestral Mask, but it's not the worst either. You could also like trim some Faithfuls, I don't hate that. But oftentimes the creatures are like small enough that the life gain actually matters, not from the Faithfuls, so I'm gonna submit like this. There's also an argument to be made that you should just keep the snaps in because they help you dig to your stuff, but I'm gonna keep. Hand is fine. I'd much prefer to have a hand with some sort of way to destroy enchantments, but I think this is in the range of hands that I'm supposed to keep, even though I don't do anything until turn 3. So they're on 5 cards. It's good news. Do I play this or I'm just gonna play the bounce land. Next turn I could play the fetch and then hold up negate, depending on what they're doing. Okay, they kept a risky hand, which is acceptable. It sort of makes sense to keep risky hands with this deck because they're already on 5 cards. Okay. Do you want to do anything different? Don't think so. I just want to open a hand with a Dawnbringer Cleric in it. That is my ideal. There's an argument to be made that you can like trim this deep analysis for like a snap or an oracle or something, but I think the deep analysis ends up being useful enough in this matchup, even though it's quite slow. Alright. Well, I have the Dawnbringer Cleric, but can't keep this hand. Okay, so I'm going to keep this hand. Bottom of the mire. Definitely not great. Definitely not great. My opponent kept 7, so it's usually bad news when you're playing against Bogles when they keep 7. So I'm looking for Evoke Existence and Dawnbringer Cleric. So next turn, I'm going to have a choice between developing my white mana and casting the Modern Age. Ooh, they have a fast start. Okay, never mind. I thought that was going to be a ranker, and I was going to be like, kind of sad. Okay, so I actually have 3 options. I can play this to develop my white mana. I can play this to start churning through my deck, or I can hold up the Prohibit. I don't want to hold up the Prohibit because I think... No! Okay, I just misclicked. That is so bad. Well, mistakes were made. I was going to say I don't want to hold up the Prohibit because a lot of the cards they're going to play are going to be 3 mana here, but... Okay, well, it would have been good to hold this up. This obviously isn't the worst play because it does develop white mana, but so they have a force in their hand. Oof, that's really good. Well, it's not really good, but the next enchantment they play is going to make this a really fast clock. Okay, Familiar is interesting. So they didn't have a 3-drop last turn. So I think what I'm going to do is go Familiar, Island, and hopefully counter there. Hopefully counter something here. If they have a 3-drop, I'm just going to lose probably. Journey to Nowhere. That is crazy talk. That is crazy talk. Okay, so they don't have anything else. Okay. Let's start with the Faithful, cast Modern Age, and probably just discard this island. Okay, Revoke Existence is good. However, my opponent just draws like a Ranker or something. I'd like my opponent to just not play any enchantment here, because that's going to allow me to block like this. Okay, so let's think. So I can't not block. I have to block with something. Probably I just have to block here. I could also block with a Familiar, but it seems bad. Okay, so discard DA. So I have 2 snaps on my deck and 2 ephemerates. I'm going to start by evoking here. Wait, can I... The problem is that I want to revoke this and then cast a Drifter to chump here, but that's not actually an option. So I'm going to try to high roll here. I can draw into Ephemerate or Snap. Did not. So now I have to chump with the Fam. If they draw anything, I lose. If my opponent bricked last turn, I think I would probably win, but unfortunately they didn't. They did not brick. And they have rankers, so I'm dead. Alright. Unfortunate. On to the next round. Alright, final round. Once again on the draw. This hand is going to be a keep, but I do need white mana. but I have a lot of draws that are good here. I have like 6 white sources. No, I have 8, 10 white sources, and I have 4 cantrips and 2 modern age. Alright, another mono red. To the surprise of absolutely no one. I definitely think next time if I'm going to play a league, I should probably add another Hydroblast to my sideboard. Not sure what I'm supposed to replace, though. I could replace Undust the Dust. Yeah, maybe. Because I think if I'm playing a challenge, I need to have the Affinity Hate in my deck, but there aren't that many Affinity players in the leagues here. Right, turn 2, Ren's Resolve, flipping absolutely nothing is not... This is not absolutely nothing. I'm going to take 4 damage, but this is not as scary as it could be. But them casting this on turn 2 does mean that they have more of them. Ooh, Swift here is really good here. So I'm gonna snap this, but it's definitely a good good draw from them. I think they would have played this last turn or the first turn if they had it in their opening hand, or if they drew it last turn. So snapping a Swift Spear isn't actually all that good because you can just replay it for 1 mana, but oof, this is not great. I'm gonna take a Seagate Oracle, but I do need white mana soon. My hand is great if I can find like a Plains, but I imagine they bolt this. The awkward thing is that if I Seagate Oracle into an Ashbrands, I can't actually play the Ashbrands next turn. Alright. Well, if I can find a white source. Damn. Alright, well. Maybe I'll get there eventually. They are gonna have a Pinger now, which I'm not a super big fan of, but got sideboard cards. I'm definitely gonna block, even if they have mana up for a burn spell. I just need to... They're doing a lot of stuff here. Doing a lot of stuff. This is gonna be the 4th draw 2 they've played. What? Why are they not... Did I miss something? Oh, they have Searing Blaze in their hand, that's why. Okay. That is okay. So I can play the Mancer and pick up the Snap, but I need to draw into a white source, so... I'm gonna play this. Oh my god. Alright, well, I mean, I'm 15... Only 15 cards in my deck, right? Yeah. I do play... Let's look. I play more than 10 white sources. I play... These are all white sources. These are all white sources. I play 12. Like, more than half my lands make white mana, so... I've also looked at a few more cards. I've looked at 3 more than 45. I've looked at 18 cards. So my opponent has to have Searing Blaze here. That's the only thing that makes any sense at all. Oof. Swift Spear is really good. So now they just got Reckless Impulse, Searing Blaze. Yeah, there's or this order I guess works too, but it's always correct to play your draw spell first. It's always correct to play the draw spell first. I guess in this spot, like maybe I could have a counter for 1 mana, but Familiars does not play 1 mana counter spells in the pre-board games. They're not even gonna cast this. Oh my god. That probably just means I'm dead. I can block here, it takes 6, go to 1. I mean, that's just brutal. But such is life when you play Pauper. You are going to play against mono red most of the time. Alright, they drew Fire Blast. I don't know why it took them so long. It always amazes me how long it takes these players to make their choices. Just cast your freaking spells, dude. Okay, same sideboard plan as always. Do this. Here. Snaps. Flicker, Mancer, Fam. Yeah, I think... Not sure how to fit in another Hydroblast. Alright. I guess I could cut a Dust to Dust. Yeah, let's do this. For next time. Alright. I'll take the play. Keep. Ephemerate Island. I think these are both keepable. The next turn I'm going to hold up a rabbit. The turn after that I'm going to play Secret Oracle. The only real play this deck has on turn 1 is Swiftspear, so if they don't have a Swiftspear, it gets much easier to win. Whereas the other version of Burn has significantly more turn 1 plays. So I do have to counter this to spend my mana, even though it isn't the greatest. Reckless Impulse. I'll take a Hydro Blast. Why not? Love Spike. Okay, not the scariest, to be honest. Green Lightning the Secret Oracle, okay. And this is why I'm playing 4 Secret Oracles, is because against red, you almost always trade for a burn spell and get a card out of it. So in this spot I could play Secret Oracle, but I'm just gonna play the bounce land because they could have raise, and I want to be able to counter the raise. They shouldn't have raise, but they likely do. I'm gonna take 1 if they don't do anything, and then I'll Hydro Blast it on the end step. If they do like cast burn spells here, then I can always bolt this. Bolt me, okay. Okay, I will destroy target permanent if it's red. I'm gonna start with Secret Oracle, and then, assuming I don't draw into anything else, I'll cast the Modern Age. Okay, I drew into a familiar, so I'll play that. I definitely feel like my opponent's draw has not been very good this game. You really need to draw into the pingers for this version to have cards that make sense at all. It's always interesting that people are bringing this in against me, but it does 1-for-1 the Faithful, but I don't think this is where you want to be, because most of the games where familiars, like, I just keep playing creatures to out card advantage you, so it's probably good actually. Faithfuls are kind of a big problem. Okay, so I can Modern Age, discard Deep Analysis, draw 2. I think I just want to hardcast this because I don't really want to take 3 damage for no reason. Okay, and I'll just hold up a counter now. I'm going to counter anything they play. Literally anything they play, including that. Next turn is just Archaeomancer, return a counter, and then I can hold up Ephemerate as well. And then I can play my bounce land. Should be good to go from here. I'm gonna play the fetch land actually. If they bolt this in response, it's such a bad play. So I don't. Although I suppose if I have this, they're just dead regardless, so. Okay, that's not gonna work out for you, buddy. Not gonna work out for you, buddy. I guess I'll attack for 1. I'm not super scared of a Swift Spear at this point. I'm gonna Hydroblast this on the end step in case they have Chain Lightning or something for the Arcane Answer. I could actually just untap. Yeah, it's just safer to untap. Do this. Okay, so start with the Hydroblast. Okay, go and return the Hydroblast. Cool. Alright, game 3. I don't really have any changes. I don't actually like this Stormbringer Cleric against the I think I already said this in the video, but I don't like the Dawnbringer Cleric against this version of red. So I'm gonna keep this hand. And I'm probably gonna lose to Raise if they have one. But that is what it is. Lava Spike, go. Okay. They're on the burn plan. So I can either cycle for... Well, I'm going to cycle for Plains on the end step here. The question is, do I play the Chancery on turn 2, or do I play the Plains out and play the Faithful? I think I'm probably going to play the Faithful. I could also cycle for an island and hold up the counter. But if they don't play anything on their third turn and I hold up a counter, it's kind of disastrous. So... if they cast Raise, I'm going to be super happy here. Okay. Take 3. The only issue with playing the Faithful here is that I don't actually get access to blue mana next turn, but also they can just Flame Slash the Faithful, which I wouldn't be super happy about. I think it's pretty reasonable that they would have Flame Slash as one of their cards here. So, the problem is that doing this is really bad against Raise, but I'm just gonna hope they don't have it, I guess. I'm gonna discard probably a Cantrip. So I think if they don't have a Raise, I'm like pretty favored here, and if they do, then I'm not in a good spot at all. So I guess we'll see. Okay, Synth. Do a Mountain. As you do. Thermal Alchemist. Yeah, it's pretty spooky. So I think here I'm just gonna go Plains Faithful, hold up a counter, and I think it's somewhat likely they have Flame Slash. And the next turn I can try to dig for Hydroblast. Although I do take some damage in the meantime. Hopefully not lethal damage, because I think if they have like Bolt, 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 Fire Blast, I just die even through the counter. So yeah. I probably need to pretty aggressively counter though. Because like because if they just say go, it's a pretty big disaster. Although if I counter this and they have Flame Slash, it's also a pretty big disaster, so overall not a great spot to be in. The issue is that if I'm just not spending my mana, my opponent, like smart opponents in this spot, they'll just pass the turn, and then I'll be in a they're gonna force me to hold up mana every single turn, which is gonna put me in a really awkward spot where I'm not playing my cards at all. All right, they have a Bolt. Down to 9. Another Bolt puts me down to 5. Okay, so this makes sense. It makes sense that they would have more burn in their hand, given that they were aggressively using the Lava Spikes and such. So I think I'm going to start with Preordain. See what I draw first. Okay, so I'm going to start with Preordain because if I draw into a... Actually... yeah, so I'm going to cast Preordain. If I draw into a Hydroblast, I'm just going to Hydroblast this. If I don't, I'll play the Fam and play the Island and hold the Prohibit. Okay, so I drew a Hydroblast, and I do want an island. So I'll just go ahead and blast here. Play the fam. And we can see what they draw. This is a pretty good spot to be in. I have card draw in my hand, a fam in play. Cracking the synth. Swiftspear. So I'm going to block with the fam if they play the Swiftspear and attack. They don't. Start with the Seagate. Probably I'm just going to play both these out, play the Prohibit. Drifter's pretty good. I'm not going to say no to a Mole Drifter. Although the Seagate Oracle might allow me to cast multiple spells in a single turn, but value is value. Alright, I'm just going to counter this. They might concede to this, I'm not sure. I'd be surprised. Alright. Strands is interesting, but I'm just going to slam a Drifter. Blue Blast is pretty good. The issue is that, like, I played a bunch of Prismatic Strands in a build of FAMs a few months ago, and this card was really good, but since that metagame, the burn deck has evolved to half the time being this pinger version, which Prismatic Strands is like kind of just heinously bad against the pinger version of the deck, which means that like playing 4 Prismatic Strands in your sideboard isn't an effective plan anymore. I think playing more than one of this, like more than like 2 of this card is kind of a wasted slot, because half the time you're going to end up playing against this pinger version of the deck, and it's not going to be not going to be great. I still think it's worth keeping in the deck, 1 or 2 copies, but it just doesn't really do what you need it to do. Alright, ended up 4-1. Not the worst. I definitely think for leagues, you want to stack up on Red Hate. I think for a challenge, I might like do this and like cut 2 of the Blue Blasts just to respect Affinity a bit more, but and most of the Affinity players in leagues aren't going to be super strong, so you probably don't need as much hate, but anyways, thanks for watching. This is going to be a long video, almost 2 hours long, but thanks for sticking it out, and I'll see people around.